completing the first chapter, the first perek, Bezat Hashem. We hope to get there. Okay. So yesterday we learned about the passages, the different parts of the Kriyat Shema, and we asked why don't we add another passage that mentioned the Exodus of Egypt from Mitzrayim, Mitzrayim, and we said that it's going to be a burden to the public, to the congregation, to go through the fourth passage. So it's actually, therefore we just say 3 passages. But now the Gemara will discuss what is the reason that we recite Parashat Tzitzit. We know that Kriyat Shema consists of 4 passages. The first one is V'ahavta v'haya, and then Parashat Tzitzit. So the Gemara here asks this question. Parashat Tzitzit. Let's see, we are over here.
Just when the Gemara was discussing Balak yesterday, is that talking about as instead of Tzitzit as the third parsha, or in addition as the fourth parsha?
In addition.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now the Gemara asks, Parashat Tzitzit. We have it?
No.
I highlight the word Parashat Tzitzit. You can see it on the screen.
It's 8 lines above the Mishnah, if that helps.
Yeah.
I got it. Yeah.
Have it? Okay. So, Parashat Tzitzit. מפני מה קבעוה? So why did the Chachamim establish the passage of Tzitzit in Shema? So we look here, this question is specifically about Tzitzit, but they're not asking why do we actually read the first two passages? So probably it's obvious for Chachamim, because it mentions the yoke of Torah and mitzvot, and the yoke of mitzvot. So therefore, the Gemara doesn't have any question regarding the first 2 passages. The only question they have is why do we read together? I mean, why is Parashat Tzitzit part of Kriyat Shema? Okay. What's the answer? Amar Rabbi Yehuda bar Chaviva, mipnei sheyesh ba 5 dvarim. The reason why we read Parashat Tzitzit is part of Kriyat Shema is because it consists with 5 things. What is the 5 things? Mitzvah Tzitzit, the commandment of Tzitzit. Yetziat Mitzrayim, the second thing is Yetziat Mitzrayim, Exodus from Egypt. All mitzvot, the yoke of commandments. The 4th thing is V'dat Aminim, and it needs it brings also the heretical opinions. Yeah, that means that we want to be aware that there are certain heretical opinions.
Is that sort of like what the bracha about the minim does too? It's supposed that someone who won't say it is revealed as a meaning.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but now we're talking about Kriyat Shema, and actually the Gemara will explain where do we see in Parashat Tzitzit that we're coming to warn a person from the heretical opinions. So that's the 4th thing, and the final thing is Hirur Avera, a sinful thought. Thoughts. People that have we have another one, Hirur Avodah Zarah, and the idolatrous thoughts. So altogether we have 5.
You just counted 6. Are 2 of them like joined together?
Mitzvah Tzitzit, all mitzvot, Yetziat Mitzrayim, dat minim, Hirur Avera. No, so and Hirur Avera, dat minim. 1 second. The first one, Mitzvah Tzitzit. Then we have Yetziat Mitzrayim, all mitzvot, right? V'dat minim. Hirur Avera, Hirur Avodah Zarah. Hirur Avodah Zarah and Hirur Avodah Zarah, it's all the same, because when a person thinks about Avodah Zarah, it's also it's a kind of a sin, probably. So Hirur Avera, Veiru, when you see the Vav, so I guess they are together. So that's the reason why he says just 5 and not 6. Okay. Okay, yeah. So Gemara here asks this question. Bishlama hanetlat mefarshan. So Nagma wants to ask you to scrutinize, where do we see those 5 things that are mentioned in Parashat? You gave so many things that it looks like it's impossible to squashed all those 6 things in one passage. So where do we see those 5 things? So Bishlama Hanetlat Mifarshan. It's understandable the three first things that you mentioned, that actually this is written in the Parashat Tzitzit explicitly, as we see all mitzvot, the yoke of mitzvot. It's mentioned where we say "V'ritem oto u'schatem mikol mitzvot." Yeah, we say that we have to "V'ritem oto u'schatem mikol mitzvot Hashem," that you have to see and you have to remember all the commandments of Hashem. So okay, that's written in the Parashat Tzitzit, Dichtiv. Where do we see that we obligated to wear tzitzit? The pasuk says "Vasulam tzitzit," and you have to make for yourself a tzitzit. Okay, now the third thing, where do we mention Yitzat Mitzrayim? Where do we see the exodus from Egypt? It says Asher Hotzeti, I took you out. Okay, so far so good. So we have 3 things that explicitly mentioned in Parashat in the third passage, Parashat Tzitzit. But where do we see the idolaters' thoughts and the heretical thoughts? Okay, good. So that's going to be the answer. But the question here, where do we actually see the heretical opinions and sinful thoughts and idolatrous thoughts? Where do we see all this stuff? The Gemara says, the Gemara's answer, the Tanya, אחרי לבבכם זו מינות. וכן הוא אומר, אמר נבל בליבו אין אלוהים. So when the pasuk says, אחרי לבבכם, a person should not go after his desires, after his thoughts, that's referring to minut. Yeah, minut for heretical thoughts. Okay, that's minut. וכן הוא אומר, and to support this thing, we say, אמר נבל בליבו אין אלוהים. And the heretic will say in his heart that there is no God. So we learn here that heart is associated with thoughts, yeah. And actually he says that he doesn't exist. Okay. אחרי עיניכם, and now we'll continue. So אחרי עיניכם, we also mentioned in the Parashat Tzitzit אחרי עיניכם that we should not follow our desires of our eyes. זהירו עבירה. That's referring to a sinful thought, הרהור עבירה. Yeah. שנאמר, ויאמר שלשון אל אביו, אותה קח לי כי היא ישרה בעיניי. So Shimshon was, you know the story with Shimshon and Delilah, and he told his father, please, I want to take this lady because she's straight, she is good for me in my eyes. So actually we know and ultimately what happened with Shimshon and Delilah, they committed sin, but we see that it started with his eyes. So we learn that the eyes actually represents a desirable way of committing a sin. And therefore, we learn that from it starts when the sin starts. It starts from his eyes, as we learn. Ain chomedet, and then the body is committing the sin, but it starts from the eyes. Yeah, nothing starts if you don't start with your eyes. Atem zonim, and the pasuk continues. Atem zonim, to what it's referred to. Zehu avodah zarah. That's referring to idolaters' thoughts. So we learn here that they are all together. And we support it from the verse that as the times of the Baalim, it's the idol worship, Baalim. So they actually that means they went after. They were looking for after the Baalim, after the idolaters. So we see that all the 5 things all together are fit in that passage of Tzitzit. And therefore, we see that it's very important to put it together with reading Kriyat Shema.
In the Shema, if I may, in the Shema, when there is reference to wearing of a tzitzit, that's during tefillah. It's not referring to the katan tzitzit, correct?
No, referring to the katan.
Where it is not referring.
Yeah, in general. Yeah, in general, I'm saying is that the katan is obligated to wear tefillin when he gets the understanding, chinuch, the age of education. So of course,
But is the katan tzitzit an obligation?
It's not an obligation, but his father is obligated to provide him tzitzit when he has this knowledge, when he has this understanding that he knows to who he's praying. So we have two frames. You have the frames of education, and we have the frame of obligated. I mean, when you get to 13 years old, 13, so we obligated to wear tzitzit, and a child, since we want to teach him how to wear tzitzit, and we want him to wear tzitzit. So that's part of education frame. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. No, Albert, I hope you got an answer because it doesn't look like it.
No,
Was the question about whether a child should wear tzitzit or a talit katan versus a talit that you wear in shul?
You ready?
An outer talit. Is that what you're asking?
Stop. Wait a second, Debbie. The question had to do with wearing a tzitzit. During tefillah, it's halakha. Is it not during the Shema to wear tzitzit?
I'm trying to understand whether your question was about whether a child should wear tzitzit or whether, or is it talking about the talit katan versus the talit gadol?
I understand your question. The rabbi.
My question is on your question. Which were you asking? Is that
Debbie,
why?
call it. Will you stop a moment? The question had to do with wearing during the Shema. It had nothing. The katan is an obligation. It had nothing to do with education. I'm just asking: is wearing a katan tzitzit?
Tzitzit katan. I got it. I thought,
as opposed to katan tzitzit.
Okay, I got the question. Okay, so I thought you're talking about katan, a child, and I
That
said
was
tzitzit
exactly
katan.
what I was asking.
Okay, so
Got it.
yeah, sorry. Okay, so yeah.
I was trying to help understand what your question was.
So yeah, we have to actually in the morning when we wear talit katan, that's sufficient in kol halacha. We don't need to add a talit gadol, and some hold that we even say a bracha in the mornings on talit katan. But Sfaradim, however, the custom is that we wear talit gadol and we don't bless on the talit katan because we want to actually encode the Kabbalah, of course, that it's important to wear talit and tefillin together. So that's actually two different. We follow the halacha and we cover the halacha when we wear tzitzit because actually we don't have to wear tzitzit. The halacha is saying simply that when you are wearing a garment that has 4 corners, then you're obligated to put in tzitzit. But there's no halacha that he's forcing you to wear tzitzit, to talit katan. Okay? Only when you have a garment of 4 corners, then you wear tzitzit katan. Now, and we all follow this. We all wear tzitzit katan, talit katan. But tefillah, it's something else. It's a tefillah when we read Kriyat Shema, then it's a different halacha that we are obligated to wear tzitzit because doing tzitzit, we do tefillah. It's very the halacha says that we need to put together tefillin, and for Kabbalistic reasons, and all this stuff. Okay, so it's 2 different things. Okay, so let's start the Mishnah, and I'm sure all of you are familiar with this Mishnah because we read this Mishnah.
Definitely sounds familiar.
Yeah, and during
every Pesach.
Friday, yeah, right, Seder night. Okay, so let's start. Maskirin Yitziat Mitzrayim Balelot. So we mentioned the exodus of Egypt in the night. Amar that's what he says. Maskirin Yitziat Mitzrayim Balelot. And now Rashi, let's see Rashi over here. Maskirin Yitziat Mitzrayim, the first Rashi in the Mishnah. Maskirin Yitziat Mitzrayim Balelot. אף על פי פרשת ציצית בקריאת שמע, ואף על פי שאין לילה זמן ציצית, although what's the חידוש here that we read, we mentioned יציאת מצרים in the evenings, אף על פי שאין לילה זמן ציצית, even although that the night, during the night, we're not obligated, we don't wear ציצית, הכתיב וראיתם אותו, ושחתם, that we have to actually, we have to look with the gaze, we have to look at the ציצית, and then the night is dark, and so the night not the time to look at the tefillin. אומרים אותם בלילה לפני יציאת מצרים שבאה. Nevertheless, we obligate to say the tzitzit, we have to mention this passage, the third passage, because it is mentioning the fact that we left Egypt. So that's the reason why we say קריאת שמע in the evenings. אמר רבי אליעזר בן עזריה, הרי אני כבן 70 שנה, אבל זכיתי שתאמר יציאת מצרים בלילות. I am like, yeah, he was not, you know, on the story that he was not 70 years old, but he was looking like a person that he was 70 years old with a long white beard because he replaced Rabban Gamliel's position. Rabban Gamliel was a president, he was a Nasi, and they removed him from his position. And Rabbi Eliezer was looking very young, 70 years old. And Hashem actually made a miracle, and he had Hashem gave him a long white beard, nice beard. So he actually looked like 70 years old. And he said, "Velo zachiti shete'amer yitziat Mitzrayim belot." And I didn't have this privilege, I didn't have this merit to mention Yitziat Mitzrayim belot. Ad she'darsham ben Zoma, until Ben Zoma came and he taught us something, specific lo שנאמר, למען תזכור את יום צאתך מארץ מצרים כל ימי חייך. ימי חייך הימים, כל ימי חייך בלילות. So Ben Zoma said that you may remember the day when you came out from Egypt and the days of your life. ימי חייך הימים. The words ימי חייך is referring to the days. And when you add the word כל ימי חייך, so actually it comes to teach you that not only during the days, but all the days of your all the days of the night, and it comes to include not the day but also the night. No, we have a different way of learning from that pasuk. When the pasuk says the days of your life, it refers to this world. And the word call, all, comes to include the days of the future, mentioned the days of the Mashiach, when it will come. Okay. אמר להם בן זומא לחכמים, הגמרא says, תניא, אמר להם בן זומא לחכמים, וכי מזכירין יציאת מצרים לימות המשיח? Is it possible that we're going to mention, we're going to remember the days, יציאת מצרים, the fact that Hashem performed the miracle of יציאת מצרים, when Mashiach will come? ולא כבר נאמר, הנה ימים ימים באים נאום השם, ולא יאמרו עוד חי השם, אשר העלה את בני ישראל ממצרים. כי אם חי השם את אשר העלה, ואשר הביא את זרע בית ישראל, מארץ צפונה, מכל הארצות אשר דחתים שם. So actually we learn from this long pasuk that says, הנה ימים באים, days will come, and people will not say that we will forget about, so to speak, we'll forget about this powerful miracle that happened when we left Egypt. We're not going to mention the miracle since Hashem will perform us big miracles that will actually, because He will bombard us with a lot of miracles, we're going to forget about the miracles in the past. And we're going to mention this miracle that Hashem actually gathered all Am Yisrael together from all different countries and from the north and from all the countries Asher Dachtim that were far away, and they will all come together in one land, and that's a big miracle. And so actually we learn from that we're not gonna in the times that the Mashiach will come, we're not gonna mention this miracle of leaving Egypt. So how can it be? So that question is, how can he say that Kol Yomei Chayecha, it's coming to include the days that the Mashiach will come? That we're gonna mention the days that we left Egypt. אמרו לו, לא שתעקר יציאת מצרים ממקומה, אלא שתהיה שיבוד מלכויות עיקר ויציאת מצרים תפל לו. So he says, no, it doesn't mean that we're going to forget all about leaving Egypt. It doesn't mean that it's going to actually uproot it from its place, meaning we're going to forget about Yetziat Mitzrayim. But we're going to have primarily the most important thing that we're going to mention is Shibud Malchut, that we have this freedom from all the kingdoms surround us, and we're all going to come to Eretz Yisrael. Yetziat Mitzrayim tafelo, and Yetziat Mitzrayim will actually be the secondary. It will be something that we're going to mention, but it's not going to be the primary miracle that we're going to praise Hashem by. Okay? Similarly, we have the same concept, we have the same idea. Lo yikare shimcha od Yaakov, ki im Yisrael yeshimcha. Yeah? Now we are on Daf Yud Gimel.
So just one question. So according to the Chachamim, you don't do Zechira Yetziat Mitzrayim at night, right?
Yeah.
They say it that you'd say it in times of Mashiach, but you don't say it at night.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but we paskin like Rabbi Elazar ben Azar, we do say it at night. So we don't follow the Rabbim in this case.
Right. We don't follow the Rabbim. Yeah. Yeah. If you look at the letter Gimel, מזכירים את מצרים בלילות, you see, the small gimel that we have on the beginning of the Mishnah, it takes you to the left, to your right side, Maimonides, Perek Aleph, Milchot Kirat Shema. So you look in Maimonides, you will see that, the Halacha and the Shulchan Aruch. I don't know why you didn't bring down the Shulchan Aruch. Very interesting. Okay, just brings the Maimonides. That we do mention, and you asking a good question, why usually we follow Chachamim, but here we don't follow Chachamim, we follow Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah. That's a good question. Why actually? Because usually we follow Chachamim. Yeah. Okay, I will check it. Tomorrow, why here in specific Mishnah we don't follow Chachamim? Good question. Okay, so let's continue. כיוצא בו אתה אומר, לא יקרא שמך עוד יעקב, כי אם ישראל יהיה שמך. So very similar to that when powerful miracles happen to Am Yisrael, we don't forget the past miracles, but it comes secondary. We learn it from this, the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was telling to Yaakov, from now on, or the angel was telling Yaakov, from now on, we will not call you Yaakov, but we will call you Israel. Israel will be your name. So it doesn't mean that we're not going to call you Yaakov anymore, but we're going to actually uproot it from its place internally. But it means that Israel will be the main name, and Yaakov will be the secondary. We'll sometimes call him Yaakov. Okay? That's the understanding of Yaakov Tafelo. Okay? We're going to call him Yaakov, but from now on, his main name will be Israel and not Yaakov. So we learn from that even that he told him, we're not going to call you Yaakov anymore, still doesn't mean that we uprooted this name. It means that it's not going to be your main name. It's going to be the secondary. And okay, the Gemara now brings another proof. לכן הוא אומר, אל תזכרו ראשונות וקדמיות אל תתבוננו. So the pasuk says, do not recall former occasions, and do not לא תתבוננו. It's like contemplate. How do you say the word? Contemplate earlier events. Yeah. So you have this way of saying, אל תזכרו ראשונות. Don't actually remember. You're not going to remember the former occasions, and you're not going to contemplate earlier events. So what is this pasuk referring to? The pasuk says, "Al tizkeru rishonot ze shibud malchiyot." So the first part of the pasuk that says that not recall former occurrences talks about shibud malchiyot, that we were under the ruler of the kingdom surrounding us, and because we know al titbonanu, and the second part that says do not contemplate earlier events. It's referring to Yitzat Mitzrayim. So we learn from that pasuk that we still mention them together. We still remember those two things, although that Shibud Malchiot, that's the most important part. Another pasuk says, "Eneni oseh chadasha, ata titzmach." So since we mentioned this pasuk of Atizkeru Rishonot v'kedmot tibonanu, so the continuation of the pasuk is, "Eneni oseh chadasha, ata titzmach." So now I'm going to create. So the Gemara says, Tane Rabbi Yitzchak, ze milchemet Gog uMagog. Okay, so meaning something new will happen, and now it will grow, now it will sprout. That refers, Rabbi Yitzchak says that that refers to Gog uMagog, the future war that it's called Gog uMagog. Okay, now the Gemara again brings a parable, brings a story that you to understand. When you have something in mind, and then nothing, in addition, new thing happens, doesn't mean that we forget all about what happened in the beginning, but it means that the new thing, that's the main thing, and the thing that you actually happened in the past, it becomes secondary. What is it compared to? A person was walking on his way, and he was confronted by a wolf, and he was saved from that wolf. And he will go to the synagogue, go to this, and say, "Oh, I met a wolf, and I was saved by him. I was not attacked by this wolf." Later, a lion came by and he saw a lion and he was saved. And again, he was telling to all the friends, you know what happened to me? I saw a lion and I was saved. Nothing happened to me, Baruch Hashem. Yeah. And he forgot all about the wolf because this is the second story that happened with him, with the lion. Finally, a snake confronted him, and he was saved from him. And he forgot all about the story with the wolf and with the lion, and he was telling the story about the snake, that he was saved from the snake. It's interesting that we learn here that the snake is dangerous, more dangerous than the lion. Yeah, I don't know why, because we know lion is. It looks like the lion is the most dangerous animal, or But here we learn that the first two stories was the wolf, and then the story was the lion, and then finally he says was the snake. So it looks like the snake is the most dangerous creature, according to this story. Probably because maybe the snake attacks from different ways. Don't know. Okay. Exactly the same way that the new miracles, the later miracles actually cause a person to forget the first miracles that happened.
Is this last mashal sounds like it's not like the Chachamim? It sounds like it's like Rebbe Lazar ben Azariah, because you forget it. You forget the beginning, so you wouldn't mention it.
So no, the understanding here that this story comes to prove Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah.
Okay, so it's like his rebuttal to the Chachamim.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And he's trying to say that nobody will forget that he had this meeting with his lion or with his wolf, but he will not. When people will come up to him and tell him, "Give us a nice story," it will start with the powerful story with a snake, that he was fronting a snake, and he was saved from the snake. And then maybe he will tell the story about the lion, but the most powerful story that he will mention to people it will be the story with the snake. Yeah? But doesn't mean he will forget all about the lion and the...
It says he will. It says it does cause them to forget the beginning one. So it's like it sounds like this is a support for Rebbe Lazar ben. This is Rebbe Lazar ben Azariah's answer to the Chachamim, that we won't say, we won't have Zecher Yetziat Mitzrayim in Mashiach's time, because it will pale in comparison to the later Geula. Is that right? Or
again, Rabbi Eliezer was what does Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah say? Rabbi Eliezer says that we mention things in the night, right? We mention Yetziat Mitzrayim,
and we don't mention it in Mashiach.
And we don't mention it in Mashiach. So Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah was asking Chachamim, how can it be that we mention Yetziat Mitzrayim during the nights? So Chachamim was actually answering him, telling him, no, it doesn't mean that we're going to forget. We're going to forget all about what happened in the past, right? It's not going to be the primary. It's not going to be the measure, the big miracle that we're gonna mention, right? It's going to be a secondary. It's going to be a miracle, but not the powerful miracle. So far now, right now, we all know Yetziat Mitzrayim. That's the most powerful miracle happened to Israel so far, right? But when Mashiach will come, that will be the secondary. So Chamim is bringing an example for Ben Azariah, telling him that we're not going to forget. The story is nobody will forget the story is the lion and the wolf. We're gonna remember the story. We're gonna remember the story. But when people will come up to him and tell him, hear about this, give us a good story, it will tell the story was the snake and not was the lion and the wolf. Although that he's not gonna forget all about it. Actually,
it says, I'm just saying, but the language is Kach Yisrael Tzorot Achon Mashkachot et Harishonot. To me, it sounds like that's saying they forget about the beginning ones. It sounds like that's something Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah would say, that we're.
It's relatively. I mean, relatively, meaning it's not actually it's not meshachot. There's two forms. Again, there's concept of to forget, and then he can actually meaning forget, he will not mention the miracles. And there's another concept of uprooting, meaning we're not going to mention, we're not going to talk about it whatsoever. Nothing will, we're not going to talk about it. So here, when he says meshakot, it doesn't mean that he's gonna that we're gonna mention it, but we have it in mind. Still, we're gonna. It's still something that we have in mind. It's not actually.
Okay, so it's all going according to Chachamim still.
Yeah, right. We're trying to.
So
explain.
does Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah ever have a response? They brought a lot of good proofs for their position.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's giving any proof so far. It looks like Chachamim they're on a strong position.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. We're not able to finish the perek. I guess tomorrow in Hashem, we have a small tiny part that we're gonna finish with Hashem tomorrow. Avraham, why Avraham was Avraham, very interesting. And with Hashem, we'll continue the second chapter. So, but get ready for tomorrow and bring some mezonot or good drink or machia or alcohol, something to celebrate this.
But not cannabis.
Not cannabis, right? Not cannabis. Just good stuff, good nash for tomorrow to celebrate the Hashem. Okay. So, Chazak Baruch. Daniel?
Thank you so much, Rabbi. Yom Tov L'Kulam. We also congratulate the Reich family. Gil Reich's daughter-in-law just gave birth to a baby girl.
Bezrat
Bezrat Hashem, tomorrow they'll name the baby. Everybody's doing fine. Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. This concludes the Zoom meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.